Hello all, Alison here. Welcome back to Words and Pictures for a few minutes of fun. I don't really know what I'm going to do today. I have an urge to play in this altered book art journal. This was created in a workshop with the amazing France Papillon a long time ago, and there is a flip through, so I'll link to the flip through. You can see what's in here so far. As you can see, there are lots of pages in between that are still available to play with if I want to fill up more space. And yeah, I think there are some quite stiff ones here because they're glued to create various things, and that puts me sort of in the middle. And I notice it's mentioning Dame Judi Dench. This, contrary to appearances, is the autobiography of Terry Wogan, who was a very popular radio host when I was growing up. Amazing Irish raconteur and storyteller, and yeah, very enjoyable to listen to. So yeah, I might go with Judi Dench. That's going to be easier to, I need clips if I'm going to work on that page. So, well, except I'm not in the mood for blue. Contrary to usual operations, I don't think I'm in the mood for blue. So I am going to work here. Now, I know lots of people will say, oh, but you could take some pages out and then it would be easier to work in. Yeah, you could. Absolutely. That's what you like to do. I don't. I like chunky, I like tricky, I like the textures and the kind of, yeah, the unordinariness of it. I'm going to start with just a wash of gesso to cover up some of this, these words. I've got a paper napkin that I rather like, that I think I might be going to use. I've got some of the Tim Holtz tissue paper. I've got some of my tissue paper hanging around, my PaperArtsy printed tissue. I'm thinking that might layer into the backgrounds in places. I've got various photos. I've got various stamps. I've got, yeah, I don't really know. I just am feeling an urge to explore. So you're going to come with me and we'll see where we end up. I grabbed, as I say, a few things that felt nice as I looked at them in the shelves, but I'm not fixed on anything really. I'm here to play in the art journal, which is as it should be. So in terms of sticking in tissue paper or napkins, you can achieve that just over gesso. Gesso is very often enough to get a hold of those things, but I think generally it's more straightforward to use a little bit of decoupage glue. You can create a nice soft fluid decoupage glue by mixing just ordinary acrylic glue with a little bit of water, so you get a nice fluid glue. There are many glues that are sold as decoupage glue. I've got something somewhere that, let me see, yeah, so this was sold as decoupage glue, but it's matte. So this is the other bottle. I got a glossy and a matte when I was working in the States at some point, so I got them on a coupon. They ages and ages ago. So when I was trying to get the matte one out the other day, the bottle just disintegrated, as plastic sometimes does. So I scooped up what I could and put it into this jar. So yeah, this is officially decoupage glue as far as I remember. I think it was the same as that bottle. So I think what I'm going to do first of all is, the gesso is still wet. That's fine. Moisture is my friend at this point as I try to just get things to melt into the page. And I'm just gonna put some butterflies in the deep background. They're probably not going to end up being particularly visible. I think we'll go up there so that we've got one going in there. And then I'm just going to, yeah, see, already they're getting the gesso that's on the brush, just melting them into the page. And then I'm going to, a little bit of glue. Now I can't tell what's glue and what's gesso. Anything could happen. I'm going to go here. Quite often when I'm art journaling, I work on composition that is sort of in far corners. I'm having a play today with working from the centre, just for a change, because why not? So again, you can see already they're starting to melt into that background. Didn't quite have any moisture under there. Fortunately, it was rescuable. Sometimes this will rip, and that's also fine by me. That's just extra texture as far as I'm concerned. Why are you not gluing down? Well, this time it has folded itself over. That's unhelpful. Do we mind? Should we just rip it? We might lose a bit of butterfly. Go on, go on. So just teasing it out. I'm going to put a little bit more gesso over this big black one because he's too prominent at the moment, and maybe over there. So I want these as a subliminal kind of background layer. I'm not going to put that in the water just yet because I might want some more of it. I'm wondering about a bit of crackle. No, because I can do that with a stamp later. Let's maybe put a bit of this in. When you're using a paper napkin like this, you want to peel away the additional layers. Sometimes that's really easy to do, sometimes it isn't. I'm hoping this one's going to cooperate, because you don't want all those layers, because then only the bottom layers are going to glue down, and what you really want is to be able to get that top layer free of interference. I don't want this whole napkin, so I'm going to pick an area that I want. I think having put butterflies in the middle, I'm going to let these flowers kind of grow up from the side here. Maybe, yeah, maybe like that. So, as we've done in the past with tissue paper, rather than cutting straight lines around this, I'm going to use a brush that is just wet with water, and I'm going to use that to draw a line, a fairly wobbly line. That wasn't wobbly at all across the top there, so I'll just wobble it a little bit, where I want to separate that image. And hopefully, as with tissue paper, this napkin is going to, there you go, just come apart all the way along those places where I did that. So I think I'm gonna do something like that. So I might just take this bit off as well. Don't want all that. So you can see that you just pull and it separates. I'm going to do a combination of a little bit of extra gesso down here and a little bit of glue, so that again it's a nice moist surface for this to go onto, which is going to help it just meld into the background. Nice and soft. I'm just wetting that brush a little bit, so I've now got a wet gesso, which is A, going to be more see-through, so that I don't lose that image entirely, and B, just makes sure that that stays nice and soft and moist. I think I'm going to have a little bit more going up here, so that just a little bit of glue. Might want another flower head up there. Actually, at the moment all I've got is leaves, so I might put the leaves along here, just going across that central crease. And again, I'm just looking to create less of a straight line. I want this flower head that's from that bit that we took. I'm going to let that kind of do that. So again, I'm going to take it off using the wet brush, just let it separate. And I'm going to put some gesso through here. See, those butterflies are vanishing, but it's fine. I know they're there, and they have a presence in my heart, if you like. Don't mind that that's got a little bit torn. What I would mind would be the straight line. So just in there, just creating a little bit of extra not squareness. Just a sort of softness to it. I'm going to grab another of these flowers to just go up the side of the page there, so that we haven't got that straight line thing going on. Yeah, let's take that off. I didn't even bother wetting that one. Didn't even bother. So we're going to let that go up there. A little bit of glue. And all of this could end up getting completely covered up. As I say, at the moment, I don't have a particular aim in mind. I fancied having a little play. So that's quite nice, quite enjoying all of that. I'm going to knock back that while it's still wet so that I get those butterflies back, given I've covered up so many of the others. There we go. And maybe a little bit more just going along here to soften the edge of that. Let's just take that off. So you can see it's a very loose process so far. I think I want another flower going there. So I've still got some left on my, don't you? Yeah, you're quite nice. So again, I'm just going to rip around that. Again, trying to avoid straight lines. It's interesting because the flower heads are growing in quite straight lines, which is a little bit annoying of them. But I think that's going to be good. Let's just get rid of that little bit there. A little bit of glue. So having just cleared those butterflies, but it is going to mean they possibly show up a little bit through what's going on here. There we go. So I've now got, a sort of springtime garden feeling going on, traveling across the page. And having got that far, I think I am going to finish the journey across the page just by adding some down here, some more leaves. There we go. So having made all that mess down here so that you could see what I was mixing up on the bottom, I'm going to move that book back into position so that you can see what's going on the rest of it. I shall use that background tissue from the paper napkin as my towel to wipe that up. So there we go. That's our positioning so far. That little butterfly is a bit annoying up there. He also needs just a little bit of glue underneath. Having put the lid back on the glue, he's just not quite glued down, I notice up there, so let's get him glued down. And then I think I'm after a little bit of sort of drifting colour. And I think that might be in the form of, what have we got? Got the Bundled Sage Distress Oxide spray. But as per usual, I'm not going to use it as a spray. Just shaking it up to get all that pigment powder, the oxide powder, the lovely chalky softness mixed in. And then what I'm going to do is unscrew this and just from the bottom here, just add a bit of that fluid medium. Look, not glued down at the edge there either. I don't mind. I'm going to add some of that fluid medium in quite a rough, random way to the edges, and then get my water bottle and just have a little spritz of that. So the chalky oxides will oxidize as they meet the water. They'll get an even softer look to them. And I think what I want them to do is sort of run off across the page. So let's get a little bit more. Maybe from here, from the center. So quite random application of colour, as you can see, although it's related to, of course, what's going on from here. So it's I guess in some ways it's beefing up the greenery, but it's still a very soft winter green. Ooh, I don't know if you caught that as it headed over the texture of the kitchen towel there. No, paper towel, paper napkin. It just did a really nice thing of highlighting the texture as the ink headed across it. So again, just softening those oxides, letting them move. And then what I might do in my usual way is again unscrew this and just have a little spatter across the page. It's quite wet down here now, so it might be time to grab a bit of drying time and just see where we've got to. I'm going to knock that back a little bit because I don't want to quite cover up all my lovely leaves. And just soften those spatters as well. It's a background layer. We're still in background layers. I'm liking the sort of secret garden feel of it. Good. I'm going to grab my heat tool. My lovely heat tool gifted to me by the brilliant people at Wow Embossing. And give that a dry, and I'll be back with you in a sec. As I was drying that, I started to have a little look at whether I might want a photo booth snapshot as part of my collaging, or then came to the conclusion that maybe what I was after was one of the slightly larger portraits. I'm having a play with some more butterflies, which I'm also quite enjoying. I don't know quite yet how that's going to work. Having said I was working from the middle, I've ended up at the two sides again. It's just a more natural inclination of mine, I guess, to find that the diagonals, the balancing acts, a central point spreading out, just because of the hinge, I guess, in a journaling page. I think I'd have less trouble working from a central focal point if I were on a canvas or a layout or something of that sort. I'm sort of quite liking that journey. And of course those butterflies in the background are now coming back into focus because there are some butterflies joining them. I'm sort of inclined to have that be almost a shadow for him there. And yeah, a bit more texture. I'm feeling in a textural mood. So I've got this mesh that, again, I think it just came from a sort of home decor-y, cheapy shop type place. I think they were selling it as, I don't know, fishing net with little wooden boats or something. And I just thought, well, I'll have some of that. Yes. So this, I'm not very precise about how I work this. I'll get my brush back, put a little bit of glue, and just let this join in with what's going on. I've used it. There's another altered book art journal, which if you've seen the flip through, you'll have seen that I use this quite a lot in one particular journal. And I just enjoy its sort of randomness and textural qualities. And as long as you get enough glue onto it, and it's sort of easier to put it down and then trim where you can see you need to trim than to try to decide in advance what's happening with it. And again, I'm just going slightly across the hinge here. I think the book will still shut. Yes, the book will still shut sufficiently. Let's bring some of this texture downwards, because what I want is to be able to get her sort of nestling, oh, maybe behind it. Maybe that's good. Yeah, so let's glue her in. I don't know if that's where I want her, but that's where she's going to go. I'm not going to stop and think and make decisions. I'm going to just try and follow what's happening in the moment. Glue all over her is what's happening in the moment at the moment. Happening in the moment at the moment. So I'm quite enjoying all of that going on there. I'm thinking he's going to have his wings up a bit, so that'll be good. I want that doing a sort of something like that. I've got these little strips of design paper. This is another Tim Holtz beautiful sort of affair. That's quite nice. Or I could use washi tape at this point, or design tape, just something to add a little bit of structure. I do quite like the brown one, actually. I like it layered. So let's go rip. Yeah, rip. So it's less precise. Let's go rip and rip. So one slightly longer than the other. A bit lower down so that we've got the texture coming from above it. That's her there. She's still mobile because I used the decoupage glue, which is quite fluid. So that's allowing me to play a little bit. But on this one, should we use, well, yeah, let's use some more decoupage. It's on the brush, so I might as well use it. As you know, I'm more often inclined to reach for my precise applicator, slightly thicker glue, but you know, we're here, it's on the brush. As I say, let's stick in the moment, following the moment. So I'm quite liking that as a double layer. Oh, I do want it to just catch her though. Enjoying that softness emerging. Popping the gluey brush in the water now, because what I don't want is for it to harden on the brush. Many brushes been lost that way. So I've got a little bit of that left over, which I might want as an echoing option up the top. I might want to add a little bit of this leftover texture, again, just as an echoing element when this butterfly lands. He's really a moth, but you know, I'm not going to be precise about my lepidoptery today. Yeah, I think I quite like the notion that there's an echoing thing going on up there. I'm not going to worry about it right now. So this guy is going to go here, I think. Yeah, and we can still just about see everything that's going on behind, especially if, as usual, I don't glue him down. I'm just reaching for the tiny attacher. And this chap, there you go. See, what's lovely about this material, this fabric, is you can adjust it according to where you want extras. I think we'll pop him there, and I'm just going to go right through the middle of the body if I can, so that the tiny attacher is sort of almost not visible. A little double in there. There he is. Oops, sorry, other butterfly. Yeah, enjoying that. And we might do a little bit of heating and shaping of that as we've done before, or I might just go with a little bit of forceful bending, just picks the wings up off the page. So you can heat set it to there, but given I do want to be able to vaguely close the book, so I'm going to glue those down sort of there-ish, just again to get that, I don't know, echo. It's the echo. It's my repetition and variation game going on again. I don't know precisely where I want this to go. Oh look, for once my trusty glue blocked at the top, so let's just stick a little pointy thing down there. I hope that, yes, there we go. So one there, and in the same way as I would with washi tape, I'm just making sure I've got my ripped edges as the sort of major feature. The straight edge joins up in the middle so that you sort of lose the straight edge, particularly when I glue this across the middle of it. So I want that there and sort of just, yeah, just. It's gluey, it's messy, it's fine. It's all good. So let's have a look at him with his shadow behind him. Yeah, that's good. I like that. I'm going to put a bit more of this, just drifting up the page. Just because I've got those leftovers, why not use them? Those are the bits I trimmed off the other one. So that's kind of doing a nice job of just a little bit of shielding. I've got some of the brown as well. Could just put a little bit of that to just echo. Yeah, let's do it. No thinking, just do. If that's what the brain wants to do, let it. And again, I'm going to slightly bend his wings up so we've got a little bit of mobility there, and he's going to go, yeah, I think that's about right. Where's my little staples? Fortunately, he's also close enough to the edge of the page to be able to do this. See, if I'd done it as a centrally positioned feature, my tiny attacher wouldn't have reached across the page. So right in the middle of the body if I can. There we go. He's much smaller. He probably only needs, well, let's just make sure he's secure. I've only stapled him to one page. Usually I would staple through 3 pages at this point. There we go. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I think. So if I were to put, what can I do to help you see this with more light? If I put a couple of these under here, is that going to help? So the book has got a bit more light coming at it. Yeah, that's very nice. Very nice. I think maybe, yes, I'm going to. Don't lose confidence in it. So one of my winter botanicals, these grasses, which of course also are perfectly acceptable for spring. I think we might just let them do a little job of drifting up. Yeah, I think that might be quite nice. I probably don't want it on a stamp grid. I think I just want to be able to peel it on and off. So inking that up again with some Bundled Sage Distress Oxide, which is a nice chalky opaque but a very soft colour. So I'm hoping it's going to be just quite a nice subtle, yes, stem heading across the page. That's a happy moment. That's a really happy moment. Let's have one coming through here. Oh, good, very good. One coming up the side here. Tangled vines and grasses are a treat not to be missed. Just playing with the angle there so that it doesn't look exactly the same as the one next to it, hopefully. Let's have one coming through the middle. This is going to be fun, negotiating the hinge of the book, but I think worth it. And maybe let's have another that... I don't want to stamp her hat. I'm going to have to re-glue her down in a minute because she's a little bit randomly. Let's put the middle up there. Oh, that's making me happy. That's making me really happy. I knew I wanted to play with this today. It's really interesting. You need to listen to those urges. I like that a lot. So I think it might be as simple as just some words now. I think I might be ready to move to, oh, see, that's quite nice as a soft one. Maybe that's worth grabbing. Just a really soft watery stamping, just to add some extra ink. Might as well use it. Might as well use it. So I'm just going to pause and have a look at where we are. Maybe pull out a couple of other things and see what impact they have, but I think I'm basically onto wanting the words now. So let's just take a look at what we've got. Butterfly wings, stamped grasses, beautiful spring flowers, butterflies. It's definitely springtime, isn't it? Ooh, so where are my new stamp sets? Right, those are going to be the words. I'm going to find some words from my new spring stamp sets and add those to the mix. Back in a sec. I think I know what it is. I think it's from EAB 46 Apple Blossom. I think it's Springtime, Rise and Put on Your Foliage, which is from a poem by Robert Herrick. So that little fragment, and then yeah, the large words are just ones I've chosen to capture those things about spring: growth, light, resilience, things breaking from the earth and growing afresh. So what colour do we want this in? I think it's going to be worth having a look at the Bundled Sage. I don't think Bundled Sage is going to be enough. I think it wants to tone in with the brown of the butterflies. I don't know that it wants to be fully on white card, so I'm going to experiment and see. I think coffee is going to be a colour that probably captures that echo nicely. And I don't think I'm going to use them as a block. I think they're going to be two separate pieces, but that doesn't mean I can't stamp them at the same time. So let's just get these. On the other hand, I don't want to stamp direct to the page because I think that is going to get lost. We won't. Yeah, I think that's going to be quite nice. So let's cut you and cut you. Didn't cut a very straight line there, did I? I wasn't meaning to at that point, but I think I might have scuppered ever being able to get a straight line by having gone quite so crookedly across that piece of paper. Rise and put on your foliage, because we've got that sense of rising through the page. It's definitely springtime. It's spring outdoors today. After I've done this, I'm heading off out for a walk while this hopefully uploads by itself to YouTube. I shall leave it going and hope for the best and head out into the spring light. Yeah, you see what I mean about having cut that so that I can hardly get a straight line. That's quite good because I don't want lots of extraneous white paper. I do want to trim as close as I can to the wording there. Rise and put on your foliage, springtime. And I will do a little bit of inking around the edge, which I think I will do with the Bundled Sage Distress Oxide. So I just get a little softening of that glaring white card. I might add a little brown edging as well. I've lost my, oh, there it is. It's already on the page. It's already dived into action. So in terms of positioning, it might be as simple as that. Nope, not quite. Springtime's quite big, isn't it? Does it want to relate to here? Maybe it's the middle of the page. I hardly ever go in the middle of the page, but there's something quite nice about that linking through to the other butterfly. Rise. Let me have a look at that for a sec. Let me move some other things out of the way, see how I feel. Yeah, and I might do a little bit of shading around it just to, again, to bed it into the page. I think that's pretty good. Let's just check that it doesn't want to go somewhere else. Oh no. Stick to your guns, follow your gut, let it tell you what's going on. I think I want it just sort of connected to the tissue as well. Rise. Everything is rising in this page, isn't it? Oh, do you know maybe what it is? Maybe, let's have a look. Maybe it's a bit more of this stuff to just give it a, again, an echo into the other clusters that are going on. Don't know that we'll be able to glue it down flat if I've got that sitting in the way. Nah, no, no, no. Oh, what's going on here? You've come up. Okay, my apologies, I caught you. So a little bit of glue down here while I contemplate the springtime wording. Ooh, maybe what it, oh, don't do it with your spatter brush. Precious spatter brush. I mean, precious. Horrible scabby spatter brush. Precious because it gives you the perfect spatter. Completely randomly, accidentally, having been left in the jar to splay out, ended up becoming the perfect spatter brush. Don't want it to get all gluey, therefore. Just wondering, I've got this little bit of greenery lying here. Just wondering whether if I added that to there, that would sort of help the melting or the connection to these words being here. If there was some grit, yeah, I think that might help. Let's look at it that way up, so those leaves are coming from there. No, maybe it doesn't need it. I'll tell you where it does need it, that straight line there. I think that's part of what's bothering me. So, gesso. And now you're going to see me experiment with getting the gesso to glue down the napkin. I think that's what's bothering me here. So I'm just going to soften that line there with some leafiness. Gessoed leafiness. A bit more gesso. Knock it into the background. That's too much gesso, although it will get paler as it dries. But if I just wet that, I can pull some of that up again. And knock it back. I think that's better for me in terms of just what was going on there for straight lines, because it's partly because putting these words here is drawing the eye's attention to that. And the other thing I might do is put a little stamping of the grasses across this bit once it's dry. Yeah, I think that is it. I think that is it. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stop thinking and do. That's what I promised myself this morning. No thinking. I do want that butterfly body. So if this goes further over, no. You can tell I'm not quite comfortable with it, can't you? Tell it's not quite making me happy. Maybe a little lower. See, I said I wasn't going to think, I was going to do, and there I am thinking. But it is very much, at this point, it's very much a sort of gut feeling. You have to, you'll know when it's in the place where you want it. And until you know that, anything else feels slightly, it does just need to be a little lower. I think that's it. I think that's it. The eye was just not travelling quite comfortably. Yeah, I like that. So where have my grasses gone? Did I put them away already? Should have known I might want them again. I'm going to stick to the bundled sage. I don't want to go fully dark, I don't think. I just want a little bit of extra detailing in there. And you can hardly see it, but again, I know it's there and it's making a difference to me. I think it's time for spatter. And then I think we might be there. I'm just wondering whether I've stamped these in the wrong colour. I'm going to look at them in the green. Maybe it's the bundled sage, and then let's put a little bit of something like potted fern. What's it call itself? Peat moss, not potted fern. Who made potted fern an ink colour? I now need some potted fern ink. I'm just going to look at them in green just to see whether that's what's annoying me. Always worth checking. Who's shouting at the screen now? Use the green ones, use the brown ones. Oh, look, look, look. I think that's bothering me less. I think there's a softness about that that is making me quite happy. And what we can do then is just ink the edges of those in a softer grey rather than the coffee. And I think overall they were distracting my eye. This is what it is, I think. They were distracting my eye from her and the moth butterflies. The moth butterflies. And I think these are pulling focus much less. That's a phrase from the theatre. If you're pulling focus, it means you're in a scene and you're not the important thing in the scene. There's something else going on that's more important than you, but you're doing something that is taking the focus away from the thing that the audience ought to be paying attention to. If you're pulling focus, generally it's a bad thing for the show. You might feel it's a good thing for you as the performer. Oh, everybody's looking at me now. But it's a bad thing for the storytelling and for the show. And theatre should be a collective, an ensemble storytelling. It should never be about one person. And there are lessons in theatre for life, aren't there? Oh, that's so much better. That's so much better. For me, there may be those of you out there for whom that's not better, and that's fine. Sometimes the words do want to be the central focus. Sometimes it should be about those words. On this particular occasion, it wasn't. So that was a combination of the bundled sage oxide and archival peat moss on there. So hopefully it won't kind of run. It'll have enough archival on it to hold strength. I could put some little tiny labels on this. I could use some of my favourite labels, but I think I'm in a less is more kind of mood. Oh, I know what I would like. So here's a favourite thing of mine to do. I'm going to get some white paint. Clear the decks a little bit. It's all getting very crowded. Where's my, would Cloud9 do? No, let's go full on Snowflake. So Cloud9 is a slightly softer white, but I'm going to go with the full on white of Snowflake. And I'm just going to use, in fact, I might as well use the one here. I'm going to use this lid of the paint and just create some little bubbles of paint going across the page. I'm going to do a couple in this size. It's just creating a bit of highlighting, and again, it's bubbles. I think that's what caused that little urge. It's bubbles rising. Of course it is. Beautiful. How did that big splodge of paint get there? I'm just gonna not have quite that much going on down at the bottom there. That again is just distracting the eye from things we would like to have. And then maybe, oh yes, one of these. So it's a slightly bigger lid. Same thing, just pick up the print of the paint. And now I've got beautiful big bubbles heading away up the page. And subliminally, I think that is also slightly visible there. And it will be slightly visible if I can get enough paint on the lid. Because the page is a sort of creamy white, I think it should be possible to get enough white just on that corner to draw the eye. There we go. Grand. Yeah. And then you know what the final thing is going to be. It's going to be just a little touch of white spatter, and then I'll zoom in for some close-ups. Thank you so much for your company as always today. I love interacting with you below the line. I hope that springtime is bringing you some sunshine, or I hope that if you're in the other hemisphere, I hope that autumn is bringing you some relief from the heat. I hope that you will feel able to rise and put on your foliage. It's quite a good phrase for autumn as well, isn't it? Rise and put on your foliage. But it is lines written in it. No, Corinna's going a maying. So it's definitely spring in Herrick's head. There we go. There's the, and I love hitting the butterflies with that because it just draws your attention to those dimensional wings hopping up. If any gets on her face, I will come in with a cloth, and because of the sheen of the photo, I'll be able to remove that. I don't want to get all over the words there. Might do a little bit. Where's my bundled sage oxide gone? Might pop a little bit of that on the mat and just get a little bit of green spatter going on up here, just for interest. There we go. It's just softening that page from the white. Might even give it a, oh yes, look, see, that was that off camera. I just used the wet brush to soften some of that bundled sage spatter, and enjoyed the softness of it so much that I'm doing it everywhere. Sponge, spatter, spatter, spatter. There we go. Knock it back just a touch. It's just given the tops of those pages a little bit of detail, texture, and let's get it off her face so that she can beautifully smile at us. Grand. So what was I saying? Diving in for close-ups. I wasn't really intending to show you the spatter process, but just as well I did, given I decided unconventionally to go with something other than white for a change. I hope you've enjoyed those springtime pages. Do leave comments and questions down below. As always, I'll try to leave as much detail in the description of the things we've used today to create this little springtime page spread. Thanks so much for watching, and happy crafting all.